Hello, everybody. Michael Bold here with the big announcement coming soon podcast. The best looking co-host, me, of course, and then in no particular order, let's say hello to Nick out in Thailand. Welcome, Nick.
Hey, hello, Mike. Nice camera. We really like it.
You like it? Yeah, so I got the new iPhone camera going. It's a little too far above. I'm going to have to fix that somehow, but I'm using that as my camera instead. It's nice because I'm never going to probably buy a camera this nice to hook up to my computer, which is a pain. So it makes my head more shiny than normal.
Yeah, it's one of those filters that knocked off some hair there.
Yeah, the hair filter.
Yes.
That's good. And then from the cloud, there's Jeff Renson. Hey, Jeff. Thank you for that comment. Good morning to you as well. So we have some thank yous to give already, which is kind of exciting. We have some subscribers to the show, specifically T Biddy 123 and Prakar Gupta. So thank you to those two for jumping on board the show.
Thank you. Yeah, we got a few subscribers. A lot of the profiles aren't public, so we can't say thanks to those people, but thank you to everyone who's watching and everyone who's subscribing. And if you're coming back for episodes, leave us a comment. Let us know if there's anything that we're talking about that you want clarification on or a topic you want to suggest. We're happy to take that feedback.
Okay. Absolutely. Yeah.
And today we have a magnum opus, regulatory clarity, and Steph Curry. We're going to start off with the news, Jeff.
Yeah, we're going to get to the news and then a long one. And yeah, like you said, Nick's got a fun Steph Curry one to wrap us up. News for this week, starting off with SushiDAO. So they've got a legal structure now. They're incorporated in Panama and the Caymans. They said the Wyoming DAO laws weren't working for them. Okay, I guess it's a DAO that's becoming a company now. DAOs traditionally have a couple different ways to go. Everybody can vote and make decisions, or some of them have kind of tiered voting and a central group who can propose things. But as soon as you form a business, I think it really changes kind of what we can call a DAO and how we've been looking at them the last few years as we're integrating Web 2 and Web 3 are really business and whatever a DAO is. It also makes me have thoughts about what's enforceable on chain, right? DAOs, once you incorporate a business, no longer are going to be enforceable on chain to the mass token holder votes. SEBA is a Swiss bank. They've been custodying Bitcoin, Ethereum, a few other cryptocurrencies for the last couple of years, and now SEBA is going to custody your blue chip NFTs. They'll decide what a blue chip is. More importantly, normie banks are taking NFTs and kind of making this more and more mainstream.
Okay, is Steph Curry going to be a blue chip? Guess we'll have to wait for Nick to talk about that later on in the show.
Yeah, a little foreshadowing.
Yeah. Last two, miners are capitulating and a few are going bankrupt. So these are Bitcoin miners. They've been holding Bitcoin and starting to sell off more and more to cover mining costs of electricity because the hash rate goes up. The price of Bitcoin has not been going up and they need to stay in business. And the last,
did they say where these miners, where are they located? Is this a Europe crisis?
Mostly American miners who have been they raised money since the Chinese banned mining the last time when a lot of folks moved here and paying off those debts and keeping those VCs happy while they're mining. So it might be a deal of going out and raising more money. I'm not saying they're shutting down the mining operation, but as a company, they're capitulating their Bitcoin supply, selling off more than maybe they had in the past at a faster rate, and some filing for bankruptcy. Now, you file for bankruptcy, somebody else buys your debt, the company continues, but it is part of this bear cycle we're in.
I wonder if the mining's ever going to return back to China. Maybe they'll have their own token or something at some point, but that'll be they generally want everything in a closed system there.
Yeah,
I think
if Bitcoin takes some of that worldwide adoption, as we've talked about, whether it's store value, people internationally trading, you want to be somewhat involved, and I think they would reopen up mining if Bitcoin gets large enough.
Okay, right. And Nick, you still have your 25 servers in your back room there in Thailand, right?
I do.
Thailand has no restrictions.
Yeah,
it just has expensive power there.
No, I'm curious, Jeff. Is there a way? This is a little off topic, but is there a way to see, although mining is illegal in China, is there a way to see if it's actually still happening?
It definitely is. It definitely is.
Yeah.
And they can see. I'm not sure whether they're not using VPNs or I'm not sure exactly how they're doing the research, looking at power consumption, talking to people on the ground.
Right.
But
Where the grid is and stuff. Yeah.
Can you see the IP address of a miner?
Yeah, but I guess you could also use a VPN. I'm thinking
To get around
more
it.
folks like I want to say Dylan LeClaire and Lynn Alden, some people who are more into Bitcoin. And, I've just seen the numbers going back, and they usually do a pretty good job of checking where their sources come from. And I would trust
Hmm.
that, they're not exact numbers, but as it dropped off near to zero, and it definitely came not 100% to where it was, but Bitcoin mining is happening in China.
Right.
Gotcha.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to the big story then. Are you done with the news?
Oh, I was just gonna say VCs
Go
before I
ahead,
move on. The
please.
VC money, they're saying it's gone, it's lower. Andreessen Horowitz lost a ton. The article also reminds us, it was a rough 2022. They lost money in this year. VCs didn't invest this year, but it's not like they lost money overall. And the money coming in from VCs is lower, not gone. So we're in the middle of
Okay.
a bear trend, and that gets us into the news of it's lower, not gone.
Gotcha. All right, so what Bloomberg's crypto opus means for the next bull market, star finance writer Matt Levine devoted an entire Business Week issue to crypto. That may be game over for hardline skeptics. So crypto's perfect now. Do we even need to talk about the article?
I have the TLDR, and I kind of ran through the whole thing. I read it last night. It's friendly. It's nicely written. Like you said, Matt Levine, who is someone from Goldman, an investment banker and a respected financial journalist, took the whole issue to write this. If you find something like the Masari report too dense, and that's when that comes out, I didn't think they do a quarterly and a yearly. Ryan Selkis writes a nice, long, really dense yearly. If you've been in crypto a few years, that's where you want to be. If you're new to crypto, this Bloomberg piece was really well written, covers every topic, and does it in a really friendly, accessible way. It's honestly one of the best pieces I've read about crypto in years.
Wow.
And sitting down to read a Bloomberg piece and my own biases is about the legacy media and who they support and what they normally say about crypto. It's gone from they ignore you, they make fun of you, they fight you, they join you.
And then you win. Yes.
Right, which is just kind of basically the sentiment of the nation, I guess, or the world when it comes to crypto.
Yeah.
They align with it. Yeah. Anything new is skeptical, of course. That's probably, I guess it should be.
And that's where they start off with the Joel Webb, one of the editors, starts off with, I was wrong about crypto and it's not going away. So those are two of the things he says in his intro to this. To take you through, I got a couple pages of notes. I'm going to run through kind of the highlights of this. They talk about trust, the database keepers, and composability. Does a great job introing what our current system is. I think a lot of people probably need to start with that. What financial system do we live in before we get to an alternative one? The Bitcoin white paper is in there. And
which, by the way, is a 14-year anniversary or something today, or this week?
Recently, yesterday or so.
Yeah, I want to say yesterday.
Yeah,
very, very recently.
By the way, it's hard to believe it's only been 14 years. It seems longer. But go on.
It seems crazy that it's been 14 years. Let's see. He's talking about what is left in this current market. So as they're publishing this piece, he talks about the speculation of crypto and the degeneracy of a lot of it, and is bringing us back around to currently, as prices fail, you have whoever's left. It's not just the speculation. It's not just get rich quick. It's kind of who stuck around, who built something that's worthwhile.
So you're talking about the chains themselves.
Yeah, the chains projects that stuck around.
I thought maybe you meant the investors, but I guess you could apply to the investors as well. People are still holding crypto.
Yeah, and they do talk about the true believers versus the speculators sticking around. They don't hit Bitcoin versus fiat too early. That comes a lot later, and much more when he's looking at other countries' exposure to Bitcoin and why they would want an alternative financial system. He's much more talking about blockchain and the technology, and it takes a while for the article to really talk about fiat versus crypto. Mining, they talk about Sybil attacks and 51% attacks. Really great little intros to hashing, public and private keys, all of those things. If you're not sure about how you do Merkle trees and build hashes, if any of that doesn't make sense, they do a great job. And actually, I think you get 3 free articles on Bloomberg a month, so you should be able to read it.
Does anybody have, by the way, advice on how to keep your Merkle tree alive during the winter?
Oh, in the garage, I have heat lamp.
Ah, right.
Of course you do.
We go through Satoshi creating digital scarcity, and that idea that digital scarcity, when you copy a picture and email it to somebody, you both keep the picture.
Yes.
How do you create digital
Yes.
scarcity? Is a great concept aside from the concept of money. In Bitcoin, it's applied to money, but NFTs, it's applied to scarce monkey pictures. I do think the point on NFTs is missed a bit, where it's speculative monkey pictures that he keeps coming back to, rather than everything else we know what NFTs do, and Nick talks about week to week. Web3 identity and the wallets holding your NFTs for achievements. This is really sounding a lot like the idea of badging and who you are as a person online, and proving that through Web3. There's a few ideas about that. Talk about the unseizability, uncensorability of the blockchain, but also that the crypto to fiat on ramps that most people will participate in, because Bitcoin in the real world is not spent too often. There's a choke point and a censorship ability. Goes into not your keys, not your coins. Very good write up on stable coins. He talks about Tether. I think
The stable coin's going to make it?
Yeah, Tether is, quote, probably has the money more or less. They seem to be going out of their way to seem untrustworthy, but people still trust them.
Okay, I love that. That's one of those arguments. Like, we aren't really untrustworthy. We're just pretending to be untrustworthy.
Yeah,
controlling the fictional narrative.
Right, and Tether's given proof of paper that they hold it, and then they've given really shady proof and refused to give documents. And I'm on the trust currently. I'm on the trust side.
But they have the longevity, right? They've survived all of it, right? They're like David Arquette from the Scream series. Like, they keep getting out alive each time, right?
Good point.
And every time he gets out alive, he gets promoted.
Yeah, you're like, what? Number 3 in market cap?
But with that, is it, do people just, they have to trust it because they don't want to lose their money? So, I mean, I think that trust is probably pretty thin.
And part of the trust is in use. If you need to use it, and we all trust that it's worth $1, and no one's cashing out because having Tether on the blockchain. And he does go into this, that more importantly for some people than Bitcoin is stable coins on the blockchain to have access to dollars without a banking system in countries that aren't the United States.
Right. I think that's the important thing, in countries where, let's say Argentina or whatever. It's a podcast Jeff and I recently listened to to be able to have access to the dollar, which you can technically in Argentina because it is a dollar economy, but the exchange rate is horrifying for them because the government sets that. But yeah, if you could keep your money in crypto, but if crypto means a stable coin, otherwise it's going to speculate all over the place.
Then that Argentinian podcast about Argentina did talk a lot about the secondary rates of the black market rate that's accepted versus the government rate. And that black market rate's still a lot more complicated to get physical $100 bills in than it would be to run a Tether market and trade Argentinian pesos for Tether. You lower your costs, and hopefully, right? We always pass that on to the consumer.
And for those of us who lived overseas, we realize how important actually it's not just having a $100 bill; it has to be in perfect condition.
Yes,
it has to be crisp and all that, or nobody will accept it. Even though in the U.S. they would accept it, but in overseas they don't.
Yeah, correct.
Which is interesting.
It's a pain.
Yeah.
And so Matt Levine, I'll wrap this up quick because I've been talking a while. Matt Levine wraps up with trust, money, and community, talking about Celsius, talks about the ETH rollbacks back from the original DAO hacks. And community, everything's a community. We've just financialized it really easily with blockchains. So those are just the talking points, what he hits. My takeaway is give it a read. It's really interesting. If any of these topics are new to you, if you're listening to this show and things about DeFi maybe don't click, some things we talk about, throw something in the comments. We'll go back and explain. But
absolutely.
This is a great primer on crypto. I think everyone should go read it. It should be free if it's your first few for Bloomberg for the month. And I jumped into this not thinking I would ever recommend a Bloomberg piece about crypto. It's not crypto positive. It's very objective. It is positive because of that, but it's very objective and easy to digest.
That's a good sign for the industry if Bloomberg is having long form articles about things, right?
So that's my next thought is when going from that news story where I just lost track of my notes. Let's see. Oh, with VCs, the money's down a little bit right now, but it's not gone. The price of Bitcoin's down. Do you believe Bitcoin is coming back long term as an investment thesis, not as a day-to-day trade, but this is below the price it will be in the future, therefore I'm interested as a speculator, or I'm interested as a use case, and Matt Levine's article explains the use case very well, and it's coming to Bloomberg, so it's not people following us on crypto Twitter. Bloomberg comes to a lot of normal people in normal finance, and this is probably the most positive normie publication I've seen in a long time.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's great for adoption.
And crypto's about the same as it was last week anyway. So yeah. All right, I've got the myth of regulatory clarity from CoinDesk. Regulators should give crypto industry builders and market participants more choice in the rules they follow. This is by Noel Atchison. And she talks about that the idea of regulatory, or at least regulation, is popular among people, whether they own crypto or not. But then it goes into how, too much regulation can end up causing harm to regulation, which we know. But can we have it? I guess the central thesis is, can we have it both ways? When regulation comes, assuming that it does, and it will if Bitcoin price increases again, will there still be allowance for innovation? I guess there will be on the margins, because not everything's going to be regulated. Like, they'll start with various things, but then the ones on the margin that can just sort of hide away can innovate on their own. And then at that point, maybe if they become successful, they'll get regulated. But as we look around, we just look historically, things that are popular, say the internet, gets broken down into large groups. So we have Google, we have Apple, we have Microsoft, Amazon, that are controlling basically all of the internet in a lot of respects. We do still have it on the margin, but then those guys just buy up. Though I guess Bitcoin can't really buy up something, but I guess one chain could sort of purchase another, couldn't they? So I don't know. Can we innovate and have regulation at the same time?
Yeah. There wasn't a lot of clarity there what they meant about regulatory clarity. And there was a paragraph that the author talked about. We say institutions will come once there's regulatory clarity, and the institutions are saying, well, no, we found ways to buy. That's something I've found other people have a different perspective on. That some people
institutions can still buy, but they have their legal framework that they have to stick with, so they're not going to do it in large amounts.
Yeah, and their board hasn't read the friendly Bloomberg report to come around on it. So some of that regulatory clarity and ease of use, it's a bit of the time that needs to happen. But one of the notes that's in there is that we don't need regulatory. She says we don't need regulatory clarity. We need testing and then some degree of supervision. And in my view, some degree of supervision is regulatory clarity. And I also don't think that regulatory clarity means a heavy hand of regulation, but clarity. Last week, I think the IRS updated their NFT guidance. They didn't change what they were taxing. They gave better clarity on it.
Okay. Well, I guess you have to have regulation in the first place before you have clarity on that regulation.
Yeah.
And there is some level of it,
something
which
like
is just
the Ripple case. The SEC would never tell them if it's a security or not, and now they're in court over it. The argument isn't, is Ripple a security? Is, tell us what it is. Like, we've asked, please give us the clarity.
And I guess you punt it to the courts to let them define it.
Unfortunately, and I think there's also this middle period that we're in, right, where you have people like Sam Bankman-Fried, right, who's like partnering up with these people. Dare I say, like, lobbying or just getting close and actually bragging about it to other people in the space. That was pretty interesting last week. They had some like we mentioned before, like some Twitter, cannibalism, where people are now just like insulting each other because one's kind of for DeFi and one's for regulatory clarity. And I think that means that they want to figure out, like, how did this DeFi work? Can they profit off of it? What's the protocol? What can they get away with changing? And I think there's a lot there where they just want to learn and get up to speed and kind of build these relationships where, like, kind of sink their teeth into it a bit, so that at the same time they can I guess it validates it for us and props it up, but it's also really, unfortunately, becoming part of the thing that it originally wasn't meant to be, right? You know,
Something
Right.
that pops
outside of
into
it.
mind from tax time is anybody who did liquidity farming and provided money on an liquidity pool for an AMM and has impermanent loss and coins in and out at different times.
Mm-hmm.
If if you're doing that and reporting that on your taxes, you should be. I just overestimated and didn't take the losses because I have no idea what to do. So I
Right.
overpaid and figured that would make me safe. Um, the clarity would be nice. I don't think the regulation would change that I would pay different taxes, but I would have a form to fill out rather than
Mm-hmm.
looking at what I earned from the LP, not taking any losses because I have no way to prove that, and just overpaying my taxes to be
Right.
safe because I'm not clear.
Yeah,
Right.
I just like I remember when I did taxes for the first time with crypto, and I basically just had a spreadsheet of my
Hmm.
profit and losses, and like,
Hmm.
who's going to believe this? Yeah. I pulled it down from the website, but I'm like, why would anybody believe this? I could, if I ever came
Yeah.
to getting audited. So that was a scary
Hmm.
thought. All right, speaking of scary thoughts, let's go to Steph Curry files trademark for the Curryverse where players earn NFTs. Now, is this the first basketball star to do this, Nick?
To this extent, I think what you're
He's got
saying,
the
yeah.
following.
I mean, he's trying to what it looks like build a metaverse or name a
Ah,
metaverse.
Can I jump in
We're
really quick
hearing,
because Mike just asked
Mhm.
a great question. Top Shot you is different than Top Shot before you jump into yours, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Can you just clarify 2 seconds because that's a very big basketball deal right now, as I understand.
Well, that was something I mean, that from my understanding is that it predates a lot of the Bored Ape stuff. It's what really got a lot of people into NFTs originally, like the
gotcha.
Top
And,
Shot
and
stuff,
Top
right?
Shots is
And
like
it
basketball cards from the
I think so.
NBA
It was like
as NFTs.
literally the easiest way to transfer it over, right? Remember sports cards when you were a kid? Here they
Yeah,
are on the
buy
internet.
tops. Yeah.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, it really, literally, like a lot of apes credit being in the space at the right time because they just got in like a week or two before because of Top Shop. It's got a lot of basketball fans probably, or a lot of, meatheads. I don't know what
Yeah.
have
Oh
you.
yeah,
Hey, no,
but
you don't
so
have to
but
be a
so
basketball fan. It doesn't mean you're automatically a meathead.
I just wanted to
No, or
clear.
both, right? There could be a concentric circles. Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify that the NBA's done stuff. Steph Curry's doing something different.
Yes. Well, it
Okay.
seems like what he's doing is in line more so with what we talked about before that we thought other companies and stuff would do who break into Web3, and that's kind of build a community token or an ecosystem that extends beyond what they can do now, like in terms of selling merch and selling
But in this
tickets
case,
and
it's built only on him, not on basketball itself.
yeah, this one is called again. It says they've trademarked, right? So they trademarked Curryverse. Uh, it's funny because again, metaverse
Hmm.
is all the rage. And again, it's the first time that it's a metaverse related trademark for Steph Curry. But it's not the first time that he's dabbled into it. Like I said before, he's a member of the Bored Ape Yacht Club as well. Him along with a couple other basketball players and Eminem, Snoop Dogg, some musicians and other people across different industries, and they've all kind of launched their own thing, one way or another, whether
Hmm.
it's music NFTs or in this case, what we're seeing is like an eventual marketplace. Where also you can earn, players will be able to earn fungible and non-fungible tokens. Sounds really interesting. But what we're seeing is more of a online gaming world. And again, I guess this kind of falls under the umbrella of entertainment services,
Hmm.
virtual reality, metaverse, and
So,
tokenizing their, what do I say, like tokenizing their network or tokenizing their community, kind of finding a way to
Yeah.
add value to it.
yeah, what do I get though?
Good
So, I mean,
question.
it's got to have some value. So, I guess me if I get more points in games or something like that, I could have a currency I could use in a game. Like, why would I want to buy into this, and why would I want to sell it, or why would
Mm.
anybody want to buy it from me?
Right, so it's still like in its infancy, right? Because they're just seeing the trademark and the beginning of the process happen.
Okay.
But I don't think this is like a move slowly into Web3. I think he's really trying to establish. I mean, they even talk about going as far as establishing DAOs, linked DAO, and then
And
connecting
that's
with
a
other
different
like
one he's
communities.
invested in.
Golf, things like that. What to me it really illustrates is just that sports and NFTs are on a collision course, and you see that with the renaming of the Staples Center in Los Angeles, how it became the Crypto.com Center. You saw that with the Miami Heat Stadium, FTX. You see it with Tom Brady. It's interesting how now all of a sudden, we went from crypto was just people who live in their mom's basement, to now like, no, like it's a Jim Bro thing, or now it's an everybody thing. It's just
Wait, isn't it
interesting.
people who live in their basement plus Steph Curry?
It's possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. I think, yeah.
It's to me, it's a lot more than that because the examples you mentioned are sports and cryptocurrencies being integrated in the companies. This is like
Mhm.
Steph Curry's fans. So the speculation, like we would be speculators unless Mike, you're a secret diehard Steph Curry fan, but this should be
Mhm.
the 10,000 biggest Steph Curry fans holding these NFTs, participating in Curryverse, and that's not a big
Yes.
number when you go worldwide. Right now it is, but if this is part of everyday apps that people can, hop in your phone, you're a Curry fan,
Hmm.
you have your NFT, there isn't a MetaMask and big barrier to entry in the future. It's a fan
Hmm.
club. So if you look at
Yes.
what Death Bats Club has done with Avenged Sevenfold, they've been doing this about a year. Megadeth just launched one, but they'll do things where the tokens get you access to concerts, access to meet and greets,
Right.
Sure, or
Merchandise.
merch.
merchandise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that
Yeah,
makes sense. That's starting to make sense
Right.
to me.
and
So
now
I
if
guess
if
Steph
you're a
could do the same
hardcore
thing.
Steph Curry fan, it's like the old school fan club, except I think the ability to interact is a lot easier than just registering as a member of the fan club back in the day to receive the newsletter. You have different things to interact with. So whether it's the metaverse and Steph Curry's hanging out there and you think 10,000 people is a lot of people today, if you
Hmm.
kind of add half the world, everyone who's on the internet eventually will be on the decentralized internet doing with
Hmm.
the possibility of engaging in this stuff. Then finding
Yeah.
10,000 hardcore Steph Curry fans is easy and let them hang out and do their own thing.
So I guess
Absolutely.
the Steph Curry NFT then could buy access to him,
Yes.
whether that's
Exclusively.
merchandise or a special
Hmm.
game or whatever. And then if you own
Hmm.
more of it, then you're a bigger fan, and that
Yeah.
creates the value itself. And there's
Right.
a
And so
Yeah.
what they do also is they have this again like virtual metaversal is what they say, metaversal
Okay.
appearances. They have DJs who'll come in and do a set live streaming and on Twitch. He'll maybe Steph Curry himself will hang out and go to the party. They'll maybe make it exclusive for the first 500 people or 1,000 people, or maybe it's open and then everyone who attends, if you sign the guest book, you get a Steph Curry NFT that's numbered. X Copy,
Mm.
he's a pretty famous NFT. He's actually the one who sold outside of Beeple, the one who sold the second highest NFT. X Copy, he did something like this similar where he gave away one of ones, or like a really nice addition to people who came to his virtual reality land. But like Jeff's saying, it's a fan club, right? But it's just this is what we're seeing it evolve from beyond just like magazine subscriptions or whatever we used to do with fan clubs. This is a whole new user experience.
One other note I want to make, and the article does not talk about this at all. Previously, a few basketball players have looked at tokenizing themselves, meaning they're going
That's
to
what
get
he's doing
paid.
here, right?
Well, he's starting. So let
I
me
mean, he's
define what I'm talking about really quick, and you'll see the
starting the
difference.
rights to it. But go on.
So
Mm-hmm.
they're taking their contracts and saying, I've got 20 mil from Adidas and 10 mil from the NBA, but it comes in over the next 7 years. So it's a $30 million over 7 year contract, and they would like 20 million right now. So you
Mm-hmm.
sell 20 million worth of the token, and the Antonopoulos token, and eventually that 30 million of his income gets paid out to the token
Mm-hmm.
holders like an investment.
Interesting.
So
Hmm.
now the NBA has stepped in and stopped this and done other things, but Steph Curry is not just a person who people love, but he's his
Mm-hmm.
own income stream. And if you're a
Right.
starting off player and you get that first contract, maybe you're worried you've only got a few years if you get hurt, especially if you're playing in the NFL, to
Sure.
tokenize out your fan club and also share do the profit sharing. You get something up front, other people get the tail end of it, but it gets a different level of involvement financially. And that brings us
Well,
back to at the end of the Matt Levine article. They talk about we're financing every community, or so the
yeah,
financialization
absolutely.
of every community.
Right, which it will consolidate itself at some point because
And
nobody likes to have 50 different tokens for 50 different people that they're following.
Yeah, who's to say that Curryverse doesn't become the next Nike, right? I mean,
Yeah,
we've already
right.
grouped people under shoes for so long, just based on their contract and their shoes, because there's money in it, right? And that's a brand, it's tribal. But now here we are, we have this whole new umbrella or platform where people can monetize themselves, in addition to like providing their content or rights or maybe even IP, part of their IP, so that you share things as a community. And I think that's an interesting way. You know, we're moving in towards a creative economy, which we all kind of know that
Hmm.
as educators, but we're also moving into an economy where we're able to monetize everything. And I think, yeah, that article that you mentioned at the beginning, Jeff, it's a great primer and toolbox, I think, for reference moving forward. And it does definitely connect with what's happening right now with sports and NFTs.
So how's the Nick NFT going now? Where N stands for Nick.
Oh, so the token's coming soon. I'm
Good, coming
airdropping
soon.
it to you right after
You,
this.
you got a big
Nickname.
announcement coming soon. Yeah.
That's a big announcement coming soon
All
next week.
right. Well,
That's
speaking of
right.
brand, our brand is usually we run closer to 30 minutes. We're running pretty long today.
Mm.
Shall we give it a
Yep.
wrap? Or any last comments?
Oh, I've talked enough, I think. Again, thanks for watching. If you made it this far, throw a like and a subscribe up there, and any
Yes.
comments, and we'll definitely respond to those.
And we might even share it on the next show.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
All right. That's a wrap.
Cheers,
We'll see you
guys.
guys next week.
See you next week.
Bye.